You just entered a riddle-solving competition. The game show host shows you the first riddle you have to answer. Take a look at the image. Who do you think will be able to make it all the way across the line? Let's face it, it's the man on the left. Even though it looks like he's having a hard time carrying such heavy things, the weight is evenly distributed between his two hands, so he'll probably make it through without any problem. For your next challenge, the game show host shows you a picture of sinking boats. Which boat do you think will sink first? The first boat has 2 holes in it, but somehow it has way less water inside. The second boat only has 1 hole, but look at the amount of water that got inside. It's definitely the second boat that's going to sink first. Since you passed the first 2 rounds, the third one gets a bit harder. Ken was riding on his rollerblades when he fell down and hurt his head. He woke up in the hospital only to find that 3 Barbies were waiting for him. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out which Barbie is actually Ken's girlfriend? This is a tricky one. It can't be the third Barbie, because the real Barbie would never wink at Ken. It's usually him that does the flirty things. It's also not the second Barbie, because she would never put makeup in front of him. So this leaves us the first Barbie, who must be his girlfriend. The Finn is a famous hostel in Spain. It's especially famous for its fun showers. But hey, something doesn't look right in this image. Take a look and try to guess what it is. The woman on the right is squeezing a ketchup bottle instead of a shampoo bottle. That's definitely weird, huh? For the final rounds, the host picked out a few written riddles for you. The first one is, I speak without a mouth and hear without ears. Am I a microphone, a phone, or an echo? What would you say? The answer is an echo. I'm not alive, but I can grow. I don't have lungs, but I need air. What am I? A tree, fire, or clouds? The correct answer is fire. Way to go if you chose that. Matthew works in the same company as Jean. He's had a crush on her for months and has been trying to impress her in any way he can think of. That's why he decided to take part in the Brain Challenge, a contest his company organizes once a year. By saying yes, he had to answer a bunch of expert-level questions and solve some pretty difficult riddles. For the first round, he had to crack a rebus puzzle. Take a look at the piece of paper they gave him. Can you guess the answer? The answer was invisible string. Nice! For the next round, they took Matthew to a room full of random stuff. His task was to find a specific object. As a clue, they gave him a piece of paper that said, "What goes up when the rain goes down?" Look around and help him find the object. It was that red and blue umbrella over there. For the final round, Matthew had to solve an AI riddle. If he answered it correctly, he would win the contest's main prize and probably Jean's heart. The riddle said, I have 1,000 needles, but I do not sew. What am I? Can you guess what he answered? The correct answer is a porcupine. Alfred is a supermodel and he just landed his dream job. The biggest magazine in the country invited him to be on the cover of their latest issue. On the day of the photo shoot, he arrived early in the studio. After finishing with hair and makeup, he looked in the mirror and screamed, "Oh no!" His skin was all red. It looked like he was having some serious allergic rash. He called all the assistants he had seen earlier that day to interrogate them. Amy, the photographer's assistant, said she had been told Alfred was allergic to peanuts, so she made sure to only buy safe snacks. Bo, the makeup artist, said he hadn't touched Alfred's food. He said that right after he had finished his job, he left for a coffee break. Mary, the cleaning lady, said that she knew how sensitive models could be, so that's why she only used organic and hypoallergenic products to clean his dressing room. Alfred immediately knew who had contributed to his rash. Can you figure it out too? It was definitely Bo. Sure, he didn't have access to Alfred's food, but he was the only one who touched Alfred's face that day. Liv was recording a dance routine for her social media page when a huge portal opened up and swallowed her whole. The next thing she knew, she was stuck inside a big cavern. Out of the blue, a great genie appeared. He told her that she would only be allowed to leave if she figured a way out by herself. As soon as he disappeared, she saw that there were 3 buttons on the wall. There was a red, a yellow, and a green button. On the floor, there was a note that read, TDUPT RNOREHEBSST. She clicked one of the buttons and managed to open a hidden door on the wall. Can you guess which button she chose? The red button. She unscrambled the words on the note and discovered it read, "Press the red button." As soon as she pressed the button, Liv was transported into a virtual reality world. An artificial intelligence greeted her and showed her 3 doors. The AI told her that there was only one door that would lead her to freedom. It told her that behind the first door, there were hungry Pac-Men waiting for someone to walk inside. Behind the second door, there were cursed rollerblades. Once you put them on, you would never be able to take them off. Plus, they had a will of their own and ended up taking you to some pretty dark places. Behind the last door, there were flying fuzzy creatures with laser eyes that burn anything they came into contact with. Which door do you think Liv should choose to escape? Well, she should pick the second door because she wouldn't be obligated to put on the pair of rollerblades. She could walk past them and straight to her freedom. During the time she was gone, Liv noticed that someone had stolen her laptop. It had all of her social media content in it. She figured it must have been one of her roommates, so she decided to take a look around the house to try to find it. Take a look at these images. The first room belongs to Jill. The second one belongs to Rachel, and the third one belongs to Amy. Can you figure out who stole Liv's laptop? If you look closely, Rachel's cat is sleeping on top of something that really looks like a laptop. It must have been her. On a hot summer day, Marjorie decided to go to the public swimming pool. As soon as she arrived there, she ran into 3 close friends, Sarah, Raven, and Donna. One of these women just gave birth to triplets. Can you guess who? It was Donna. If you look closely at her wrist, she's wearing 3 DIY bracelets with the word Mom written on them. Sam was backpacking through Latin America when he stopped at a restaurant to get some lunch. When he walked inside, he immediately spotted something weird. One of the customers is definitely not human. Can you guess who? It's the guy on the counter. Look, he's charging his hand on the counter socket. He must be a robot or something.
Elsa was 17 years old the day before yesterday. Next year, she'll turn 20.
Yay.
How come? It's possible if the present day is January 1st, while Elsa's birthday is on the 31st of December. The day before yesterday, on December 30, she was still 17 years old. Yesterday, on the 31st of December, she turned 18. Thus, this year, Elsa turns 19 and next year 20. Elsa and her sister Helga explore an old attic in their parents' house. It's very dark and dirty. After that, they go downstairs to have some lunch. Helga's face is all covered with dust, while Elsa's face is super clean. But still, only Elsa goes to the bathroom to wash her face. Why? Elsa noticed that her sister's face was dirty, so she thought her face must be dirty too. As for Helga, she saw that Elsa's face was clean and assumed that her own face was clean too. After lunch, Elsa and Helga go for a walk across an enchanted forest. They reach the riverbank, but the bridge is closed for repairs. The sisters notice two dwarfs fishing in a boat near the bridge. They agree to help the sisters, but their boat is very tiny. It can fit either one sister or two dwarfs. Luckily, they manage to solve this issue. Elsa and Helga cross the river on the same boat. How? Well, first of all, one of the dwarfs brought his fellow on the opposite bank. Then he headed back for the sisters alone. Helga got into the boat and crossed the river. She gave the second dwarf the boat, and he returned to the opposite bank. He picked his fellow dwarf and brought him to Helga. Then one of the dwarfs swam to Elsa and passed the boat to her. She crossed the river and joined Helga, and finally, the second dwarf returned to his fellow. Helga and Elsa keep on walking and get lost in the forest. There are 3 roads to the nearest town. The first route is filled with mutant plants which feed on humans. The second path leads through an ice cave with a hungry dragon frozen inside a huge ice cube. The third route leads through a village of fairies. Their magic makes humans lose their minds. Which way is safe? Well, the dragon is trapped inside the ice cube, so it's not that dangerous. Finally, the sisters reach the town. They're walking down the main street. Suddenly, someone throws an orange right at Helga's head. Elsa identifies the apartment from which the fruit fell out and goes there to complain. She knocks, and a young man opens the door right away. Elsa explains that her sister was hit by an orange that fell from his window. But the guy says, "I was washing my dog when you knocked. Only me and my pet live here, so you confused the floors." But Elsa didn't believe him. Why? According to the man, he was bathing his only pet, but the dog's hair is dry. Therefore, his story is fake. Elsa and Helga enter the local home decor shop. Helga takes a picture of her sister standing in front of the mirror. Can you spot anything odd in this photo? Take a closer look at the mirror. Elsa's hands are reflected wrong, as well as the sale poster behind her. She must be a vampire. Just kidding. The sisters continue exploring the shop, but suddenly Elsa begins to scream and runs away. That's because one of these ladies is not alive. Can you guess who? The first woman is an ordinary human. There's a mirror behind her. The third lady has a painting of herself in the background. And the second lady, who's looking over her shoulder, is a phantom.
Oh God.
Her reflection in the mirror doesn't match the reality. Elsa decides to hide in a building nearby. Surprise! It's a pet shop. Elsa wanders around it and spots one weird detail. Can you see it too? The turtle is wearing sunglasses. The locals tell Elsa and Helga about a creepy werewolf who has been scaring the citizens for several weeks. They only know that this werewolf is a lady and she has a husband. He's the only person who can calm her down. Elsa finds 3 suspects who might be the werewolf's husband, but none of them admits it. Can you find him? He's the second guy. There are suspicious brownish hairs on his clothes, although his own hair is blonde. The next day, Helga has a birthday party. Elsa goes to the bakery to purchase a cake for her. She's late, so she rushes over and bumps into a waiter. Elsa hits her head and forgets what cake Helga asked her to buy. She remembers just 3 things. It shouldn't have any green elements, the cake frosting shouldn't include more than 1 color, and it must have at least 1 berry. Can you help Elsa find the correct cake? Elsa should take the 4th cake. It's a chocolate cheesecake, so it doesn't have anything green. The glazing is brown and is decorated with cherries. A perfect match. Elsa buys the cake and leaves. The bakery is located inside the highest tower in town. Elsa enters the elevator to go down, but she hits the wrong button and finds herself on the roof. She decides to take some pictures with the iconic huge clock installed at the top of this tower. Oops! Elsa drops her phone from the roof. She decides to leave, but someone has already locked the door, and the elevator won't work, so she's trapped on the roof. Luckily, Elsa can still change the time of the clock. What time should Elsa set on the clock to make someone notice and rescue her? If she sets 5:05 on the clock, it'll look like an SOS signal. Finally, Elsa escapes from the tower and heads to the parking lot. Here's her car. Can you figure out the number of the place where it's parked? '87. Elsa arrives home. Helga shows her vacation photos sent by her new boyfriend, Kyle. In this case, you can see Kyle, his friend Bob, and a humanoid robot, Neo. Neo is standing next to Bob. A person wearing the yellow mask is not a man. What color is Kyle's mask? According to the terms, only the 3rd guy can be Kyle, so his mask is blue. The birthday party is going well. It's almost midnight, so Elsa goes to the kitchen and adds candles on the birthday cake. Suddenly, she remembers that the only lighter in the house is upstairs in her room. She leaves the cake at the table for a minute. Then Elsa returns and sees the cake smashed all over the floor.
Oh, no.
She questions 3 suspects. Lauren says, "I was in the living room all night. I don't know who did it." Wendy says, "I went outside to watch the full moon. It's so beautiful tonight." Kyle says, "I was shooting a TikTok dance with Helga." Who ruined the cake? Wendy. Take a look out the window. The moon is not full. Busted. The next morning, Helga wakes up earlier than Elsa and checks her feed. Breaking news: a legendary thief ran away from a nearby prison and now creeps around the town. He's a talented shapeshifter, so no one knows for sure what he might look like. Suddenly, Helga hears someone ringing on the door. She opens and faces 2 guys who introduce themselves. Bob is a gardener from a nearby park, and Peter is a garbage man. Both guys want to use a bathroom, so they ask Helga to let them in. But only one of them is safe to invite over. Can you guess who? Bob is wearing clothes with red stains, but he's also holding a brush, so he was probably just painting a fence. Let's take a closer look at Peter's facial hair. One mustache has come unglued. It's fake. So he must be the runaway criminal from the news. Well, have you been looking for a chance to put on your detective hat? Well, here you go. A new portion of tricky riddles to sharpen your mind.
Yeah.
Melissa met her guests who came to her birthday party. Catherine came before Bob, Aaron after Raynon. Bob arrived before Raynon, and Timothy came after Aaron. So, which guest arrived last? Timothy was the last one to come. Now let's say you have two jugs. One of them holds exactly 3 gallons of water and the other holds 5 gallons. With the help of just these 2 jugs and a fire hose, how can you measure out exactly 4 gallons of water? Fill the 5-gallon jug to the top. Then pour it into the 3-gallon jug until it's full. You now have 2 gallons of water remaining in the 5-gallon jug. Pour out the water from the 3-gallon jug and then pour the 2 gallons from the 5-gallon jug into the 3-gallon one. Finally, fill the 5-gallon jug to the top and pour it into the 3-gallon jug until it's full. There was only enough space left for 1 more gallon in the 3-gallon jug, so you now have exactly 4 gallons in the 5-gallon jug. Look at this image attentively and try to find a mistake. There's no river on the other side of the bridge. Where does it disappear? Now, look at these men very closely. Can you figure out which of them is a fake doctor? The doctor on the left may be wearing casual clothes, but he has his badge on, which probably means he was called to work urgently and didn't have time to change. He's also holding a stethoscope. The doctor in the middle is holding a spoon. But even though it looks suspicious, he has just given a child patient some cough syrup. You can also see a badge on his uniform. As for the man on the right, he's not a doctor. There's no badge on his uniform. And if you examine him more attentively, you'll notice the police uniform under his white coat. He's most likely a police officer undercover. Christy poured herself a full cup of tea and drank half of it. Then she filled the cup with milk. Then she drank half of the drink again. Then she refilled it with milk again and drank the rest of it. Can you figure out if Christy drank more tea or more milk? She drank the same amount of tea and milk. Look, Christy ended up drinking all her tea since the cup was eventually empty. Christy refilled the milk 2 times, and every time it was half a cup of milk, totally a full cup of milk. Deceptor, a famous magician, announced that he could throw a ping-pong ball in such a way that it would go a short distance, come to a complete stop, and go in the opposite direction. He also clarified that he wouldn't bounce the ball off of any object or tie anything to it. And indeed, he managed to perform the trick. How did he do it? He threw the ball straight up into the air. Can you name 4 days of the week that start with the letter T? These days are Tuesday, Thursday, today, and tomorrow. Now, listen up. All statements are true except one. 3 days ago was not Friday. The day after tomorrow will be Saturday. Tomorrow is not Wednesday. In 5 days, it's a day off. Yesterday was not Saturday. So the question is, what day of the week is today? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday? It's Thursday. Let's see how we can figure it out. 3 days ago was not Friday. If this statement is true, then today is not Monday. The day after tomorrow will be Saturday. If it's true, then today is Thursday. Tomorrow is not Wednesday. Then today is not Tuesday. It's a day off in 5 days. If this statement was true, today would be Monday or Tuesday. But in this case, the statement contradicts the first and third ones. It must be false. Yesterday was not Saturday. It means that today is not Sunday. Based on all this, we can conclude that today is Thursday. There were 2 plastic jugs filled with water. Can you put all the water into one barrel without using any dividers and still tell which water comes from which jug? You can do it by freezing the water in one or both jugs and then cutting the plastic away, leaving only the ice. After that, you can put the chunks of ice into the barrel. This way, you'll be able to tell which water comes from which jug. A farmer in Florida owns a beautiful pear tree. He supplies fruit to a nearby grocery store. One day, the store owner calls the farmer to check how much fruit is available for him to buy. The farmer knows that the main trunk has 24 branches. Each branch has 12 boughs, and each bough has 6 twigs. Since each twig bears one piece of fruit, how many plums will the farmer be able to sell? Unfortunately, none. At least not from this tree. A pear tree doesn't produce plums. You have 5 jars with pills. Each pill weighs 10 grams, except for contaminated pills contained in one jar. There, each pill weighs 9 grams. You have a scale, but can you tell which jar has the contaminated pills after making just one measurement? To find the contaminated pills, you should follow the following steps. Take out 1 pill from jar number 1, 2 pills from jar number 2, 3 pills from jar number 3, 4 pills from jar number 4, and 5 pills from jar number 5. Put all these 15 pills on the scale. The correct weight should be 150 grams. But since one of the jars has contaminated pills, the weight will definitely be less than 150 grams. If the weight is 149 grams, then jar number 1 has the contaminated pills, because there is only one pill like that. If the weight is 148 grams, then the contaminated pills are in jar number 2. If the weight is 147 grams, the contaminated pills are in jar number 3, and so on. Many years ago, one guy was captured by an evil witch who kept him in her house. There was a cellar door in the house, and the witch warned the guy not to open it because he was not ready to see what was behind it. Can you guess what was on the other side of the door that the witch didn't want the guy to see? The guy was actually locked in the cellar, and on the other side of the door was the rest of the house and the outside world. The witch just didn't want the guy to escape. One day, a boss told his employees, "I can fight and beat any man who works here." A new employee, a tall ex-prize fighter, decided to challenge the boss. Interestingly, the boss won the bet, even though he didn't defeat the man. What did the boss do? Not to lose face, he fired the new employee on the spot. This way, when he defeated the boss, he wasn't working in the company anymore. Marty and Jill wanted to copy 3 60-minute tapes. They have 2 tape recorders that will dub the tapes for them, so they can do 2 at a time. It takes 30 minutes for each side to complete. Therefore, in 1 hour, 2 tapes will be completed, and in another hour, the third will be done. Jill says all 3 tapes can be finished in 90 minutes. Can you figure out how it is possible? Let's call the tapes 1, 2, and 3 with sides A and B. In the first 30 minutes, the guys will work with 1A and 2A. In the second 30 minutes, they will record 1B and 3A. Now, tape 1 is completed. Finally, in the last half hour, they will do tape 2B and 3B.
Neil was one of the best watchmakers in town. He got a call from the police station one day, asking him for help to solve a crime. 2 burglars were caught robbing shops in town. Amongst the things they stole, there were 2 watches. One of the burglars claimed that the watch they stole was a fake, so the police contacted Neil to see if that was really true. Take a look at both watches. Can you help Neil figure out which one is fake and which one is real? The watch on the left is a fake. If you look closely, you'll see that the miniature arm is too long, so it can't pass around the entire clock when it moves. Maya was an undercover police officer. On a Saturday night, she was off duty and decided to go to the movies. When she arrived, she saw 2 women who looked pretty suspicious. She remembered that the police were tracking down a girl who had escaped from prison the week before. Take a look at both women. Can you tell if one has escaped prison recently? It's the lady on the left. Her prison uniform is peeking through her coat. I mean, she should have at least changed clothes by now, right? Beth arrived at school and one of her best friends showed her a picture. She told Beth that if she got the answer correctly, she would get a week's supply of free chocolate. The friend said that one of the people in the picture wasn't human. Can you help Beth figure out the answer? It's the boy in the middle. He doesn't have a shadow, which means he's definitely not human. Ruby was traveling around India when she decided to stop for some tea. As soon as she walked inside the tea shop, the owner placed 2 teapots in front of her. He told her she would get a free cup of tea if she could figure out his riddle. He told her that the first teapot contained enough tea for 40 cups and asked to figure out, just by looking at the pot, how many cups of tea it could carry inside. Take a look at the image. Can you help Ruby figure out the answer? This is a tricky one. Probably the second teapot can only carry around 20 cups of tea. If you look closely, you'll see that the outlets of the first teapot is located in the middle of the pot. But the outlet of the second pot is located right at the bottom, so even if the pot is taller, it can't hold more water than the first one. After water hits the level of the outlet, it'll just start overflowing. Mary was walking in an enchanted forest when she met Randy, a magical unicorn. Mary asked the unicorn for some information, but he refused to talk to her unless she solved one of his riddles. He was a trickster and liked confusing people with his riddles. He told Mary that in a nearby field there were tigers and sheep. Usually one tiger could catch 3 sheep in 3 minutes. So he asked her how long it would take for 100 tigers to catch 100 sheep. Can you help Mary figure out the answer? It would still take 3 minutes, because each tiger is still catching one sheep in 3 minutes. It doesn't matter if it's 3 tigers or 100. The unicorn was surprised by Mary's abilities and gave her another riddle to solve. He asked her to name the 5 days of the week without saying Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, etc. She also couldn't say whether it was the first day of the week or the last. What do you think Mary answered here? She said the day before yesterday, yesterday, today, tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow. Clever girl, huh? Brianna was traveling on business, and her company put her in one of the best hotels in town. She arrived from work late at night, exhausted. She was getting ready to go to bed when she heard a knock on the door. When she looked through the peephole, she saw a man standing outside. The man said he was sorry for bothering her, but the hotel database had crashed and he needed to recheck some of her information. Brianna said she would be back in a moment, got away from the door, and called security. She said there was someone in the hotel trying to rob her. Take a look at the image. How did she know the man was a robber? Look at the man's name tag. It's a female name. He is surely not the real hotel manager. Luca decided to throw a party for his best friends. He invited over 20 people to the party, but he only bought 9 candies. He told his friends he would leave the candies inside a pretty little box, and they could each get 1 candy. 9 people took 9 candies, but 1 candy was still in the box. How could that be possible? It's pretty simple. The last person took the candy and the box. This way, 1 candy remained in the box. Noah reported to the police that someone had stolen his red motorbike the previous night, right out of his garage. The police started to search for it and tracked 3 main suspects. Take a look at them. Which one stole Noah's motorbike? It's this guy on the right. Look closely. His motorbike is painted, but the paint is dripping and one can spot the old red color. He must have stolen it and painted it in a different color so as not to attract any attention. But you caught him. It's the finale of the Big Money Buzz Show, and Natalie is faced with a difficult task. There are 3 fish bowls, each one of them containing a different amount of gold bars inside. If she manages to put her hand inside one of the bowls and take it out, she can keep the gold bar. The first bowl has scalding hot water inside of it. The second is filled with flesh-burning acid. And the last bowl has a couple of venomous scorpions walking around. Which bowl should she choose? Natalie should just wait until the water cools down and grab the gold bar from the first bowl. Smart, huh? Bobby was blindfolded and put into a shaky van. When he woke up, he was alone in a dark, empty room. There was nobody there, but there were 3 envelopes on the floor. A post-it on top of the envelope said, "Each envelope contains a red capsule and 2 statements. In one of these envelopes, both statements are false. In another envelope, both statements are true. You have to choose the correct capsule to get out of this alive." He opened the first envelope, saw a capsule and the message, 1. Don't eat this candy. 2. Take the candy from the second envelope. On the second envelope, the note said, 1. Don't take the candy from the first envelope. 2. Take the candy from the third envelope. And the last envelope said, 1. Don't eat this candy. 2. Take the candy from the first envelope. Which capsule should Bobby take? He should trust the candy from the third envelope. Let's see why. The first message of the first envelope is true, while the second is false. Both messages from the second envelope are true. This leaves us with 2 false statements on the third envelope. The manager of a gift shop got a call from the police station. The police told him there was a burglar on the loose. He dressed up as the Joker and was robbing local shops. But since it was Halloween, a lot of people were walking dressed up as the Joker. At that moment, 4 Jokers entered the shop. The manager got suspicious, so he made the people stand in a line while he examined which one of them was the criminal. Take a look at the image. Can you guess which Joker is the real thief? The thief is the second Joker on the left. Take a look at his shoes. They're much bigger than the other shoes. He must be hiding something inside of it. Take a look at this image for a second. Which prisoner do you think is rich? Let's see. It can't be the first guy since his food is partially rotten. It looks like the other inmates don't really like him, and he doesn't have a lot of power inside the prison. The second guy, while he looks super wealthy, his jewelry is actually fake. This leaves us with the last guy, and bingo! It's him! Look, he's got a laptop under his plate and a phone under his arm. He's the richest for sure. Susie was invited to take part in a pop-up riddle show. She needed to answer one question correctly to win $1,000. She was extremely nervous when the game show host asked her this question. How many numbers are on a clock? Can you help Susie figure out this one? The answer looks obvious, but it's not. You need to do some math. The correct answer is 15. It doesn't work if you simply stare at the clock and say there are 12 numbers. You see, the numbers 10, 11, and 12 are made up of smaller numerical numbers, so the correct way to count it would be in a clockwise fashion. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 0, 1, and 1. Phew! A local thief was running around playing tricks on some neighborhood stores. On a Saturday morning, he walked inside Mrs. Buchanan's shop and stole a $100 bill from the counter when she wasn't looking. He grabbed a shopping cart and filled it with $70 worth of goods. He paid for everything with the $100 bill he had stolen and even got $30 back as change. How much money did the store owner lose in all of this? The shop owner just lost $100. I know it sounds too simple, but here's the deal. In total, the store owner lost $70 worth of merchandise, plus the $30 she gave as change. So yes, she lost $100. Maya was roaming through the multiverses when she ran into a gatekeeper guarding a green door. She said she needed to go through the door in order to access her original timeline, but the gatekeeper would only let through those who answered his riddle. He told her that some things can go through the green door while others cannot, and she needed to figure out what all of the things had in common. And then he tells her, "You can come through the door with a carton of eggs, but not with a box of donuts. You can pass through it with a gallon of skim milk, but not a quart of it. You can bring with you some bamboo, but not jade, orchids, philodendron, or ivy. Sadly, you can't come through with dogs and cats unless they're still puppies and kittens." Can you help Maya figure out the pattern in common with all of these things? Well, the key to solving this riddle can be found in all 4 of the words that make up the phrase green glass door, aka double letters. If something is spelled with double letters, it can go through the green glass door. If there are no double letters in its name, then it can't. Mark went to the farmer's market to do his weekly grocery shopping. He stopped by the egg stand, and the owner was feeling chatty, so he challenged Mark to guess the answer to a riddle. He told Mark,
"If I had 4 eggs and a thief gave me 3, and my rooster laid 5 more, how many eggs do I have?"
"Can you help Mark figure out the answer here?" I'll get one thing out of the way. It's not a simple math problem. It doesn't work if you just add everything up. But here's the first problem. Roosters don't lay eggs, so those eggs are out of the equation. And then if you read correctly, the man said, "If I had 4 eggs," which means that he had 0 eggs to begin with. So the correct answer is 3. The 3 eggs that the thief gave him. 4 prisoners from a high-security prison were taken to a deserted beach to do some community service. The warden wanted to have some fun, so he lined them up in a single-file line and separated prisoner A from the other 3 with the help of a brick wall. He gave each prisoner a hat, either black or white, without telling them which color they each got. In total, there were 2 black hats and 2 white hats. He told them that all prisoners would be sentenced to prison for life, except they could guess correctly which color of hat they had in under 10 minutes. The prisoners weren't allowed to confer with each other, and they weren't allowed to move around or change positions. They got super nervous, of course, but they had no other option than to play the game. Luckily, just before the clock struck 10 minutes, one of the prisoners guessed correctly their hat color. Can you guess which prisoner it was? P.S. There is only one correct answer. If you guessed prisoner C, then you got it right. Let's see why. This riddle can only be solved through a process of elimination, and 2 of the prisoners, prisoners A and B, can be eliminated right off the bat. That's because neither one of them can see any of the other prisoners, so neither possesses any information with which to make a more certain guess. That just leaves us prisoners C and D. When prisoner D remains silent and doesn't take a guess, prisoner C deduces his own hair color. He deduces that he and prisoner B must be wearing different colored hats, and since prisoner B was wearing a white hat, he guessed he is wearing a black hat. Yikes! This fried my hat off. Betty was in her last year of high school and she decided to take photography as an extracurricular activity. For her latest assignment, she needed to take an urban picture and present it to the class. However, since Betty was also organizing a big graduation trip, she didn't have time to do the assignment. Instead, she decided to Photoshop an image and show it in class. The teacher and students immediately saw that the picture wasn't real. How could they tell? Well, because that person over there has 2 heads. It looks pretty cool, but that's kind of a difficult phenomenon to find here on this planet. Three people decided to spend their vacations in Antarctica. Bianca had some trouble with the harsh weather, but felt it was worth it in the end. Pablo had a great time photographing the penguins for his social media page. And Helena got to do some fishing while she was there. On the last day of their trip, passing through airport security, one of them got caught trying to take a penguin with them in their backpack. Take a look at the picture. Can you tell who it was? Let's see what we have here. Well, is that a penguin's feet poking out of Helena's backpack? It sure is. Guess she did more than just fishing during her vacation. Yikes! 5th of December is Bloomfield Town's Contest Day. For this year, the mayor picked bakery as the theme, so contestants needed to bake the best dessert to win. The only rule was that the bakers couldn't use sugar in their recipes, only natural sweeteners. When the mayor went to judge the 4 finalists and pick the best dessert, he immediately disqualified one of the bakers, saying they had cheated. And he did that without even tasting the desserts. Take a look at the contestants and see if you can spot the cheater. Look at the third woman in the row. Her cake is literally covered in powdered sugar. She was disqualified because she broke the no sugar rule.